Why are we doing it still on the computer?
Everybody has had a headache before, whether this be from a cold, being dehydrated, or having an awful migraine. A headache that most of us haven't felt before is called a cluster headache, which is considered the most painful headache in the world. Today we will be looking at what a cluster headache is, how they can affect someone's life, and if there is a cure for them. So first, let's answer the question, what is a cluster headache? What are cluster headaches? They do get compared to migraines quite often because they do have similar symptoms, but they are very different. Some symptoms that they share would be nausea, restlessness, flushed skin, and sensitivity to light and noise. Symptoms that are just for cluster headaches would include pain on one side of the head, sweating, swelling of eye, teariness or runny stuffy nose, and a droopy eyelid. So all of these symptoms are on just one side of the face. So if you get cluster headaches on the left side, all of these symptoms will be on the left side of your face. So the actual cause of cluster headaches is thought to be a giant release of serotonin in the hypothalamus. Other research points to it also including abnormalities in someone's biological clock. Usually people develop cluster headaches between the ages of 20 and 50 years old. My dad started getting cluster headaches when he was 16. Cluster headaches are not just a one-time thing. These come in cycles, and these cycles can last anywhere from 1 week to over 3 months. There are two different types of cluster headaches, episodic and chronic. My dad has episodic, and that means that his attacks can last anywhere from 7 days up to a year. And these cycles are separated by at least a 3-month headache-free period. Chronic cluster headaches and those cycles last for at least a year and have a headache-free period of less than 3 months. Usually these cycles come seasonally. My dad usually gets them in the fall and in the winter. So right now is not the best time. When he's in a cycle, he usually gets them at least once a day, if not more, usually around 3 to 4 times, and they usually come around the same time each day. Each headache can last at least 15 minutes and up to 3 hours. So when in a cycle, there are some do's and don'ts for both loved ones and victims of cluster headaches. First, do not talk to someone while they have a cluster headache. Just like a migraine, this can be very distracting and very stressful. My dad always apologizes, feeling bad that we go quiet when he has a headache, but he is also very appreciative of the quietness that he gets. Usually when my dad has a cluster headache, he'll have to stand up, rock side to side, and hold the left side of his head. And he gets his cluster headaches on the left side of his head. While in a cycle, cluster headache victims are very sensitive to smell. So for my dad, he can't drink alcohol, he can't smell alcohol, let alone drink it. Smoking is a big no, as this is a very strong smell and it can easily trigger an attack. Along with that, my mom and I have accidentally sent my dad into several cluster headaches just by painting our nails. This smell is so strong that sometimes it will give me a headache, so I can't imagine what it does to my dad. Now that we've looked at what cluster headaches are, let's look at how they can affect someone's life. Someone's mental health can be greatly affected, as these headaches can take quite the mental toll on someone. Anxiety and depression are very common in people with cluster headaches. My dad suffers from anxiety and depression from these headaches, and he explained it as these headaches are so excruciatingly painful, he's constantly thinking about when the next one will strike. Along with them being painful, they are also hereditary, so it leaves him anxious that he's going to pass it down to my brother and I. But they are a lot more common in men than they are in women, so my brother is definitely more at risk than I am. It has been found that overall, people with headaches have a poorer quality of life. This is due to them being absolutely completely debilitating. My dad even almost lost his job due to these cluster headaches. Along with that, it is shown that there is more cognitive failure, such as memory issues. And I myself have observed that it is very easy to disturb someone's mood while they're in a cycle. They are so anxious and angry about the immense amount of pain they're in, it's easy for them to lash out about their situation. Having these headaches makes it really difficult to plan for things such as trips, because you never know when one's going to strike. So you kind of have to be prepared at all times. So, is there a cure for these headaches? Short answer, no. But there are treatments that can somewhat help. There's verapamil, which is a medicine that relaxes blood vessels. Prednisone, which is a steroid that reduces inflammation and swelling. There's lithium carbonate, which restores balance of certain brain chemicals, which helps with the release of immense amounts of serotonin. But sadly, none of these help my dad. So the things that somewhat help my dad are sumatriptan, Emitrax shots, and his oxygen machine. Some nights, I'll hear my dad's footsteps walk out into the living room and hear the low hum of his oxygen machine turn on. I'll usually stay up and pray for his headache to go away until I hear his oxygen machine turn off and him walk back into his room. Even though I'm not in the room with him, I don't want him to be alone. In conclusion, we have looked at what cluster headaches are, how they can affect someone's life, and treatments for cluster headaches. The rise in awareness for cluster headaches has slowed down immensely, so it makes it hard to find a cure when nobody even knows that they exist. Though many have never heard of cluster headaches, thousands of people just like my dad suffer from them and are hoping that one day there will be a cure for these insufferable headaches. Thank you.